Namaste. Welcome to this series on foundational concepts of Sanatana Dharma. Today, in this session, we are going to look at what yoga is. Most of us understand yoga to be a set of postures where we twist the body completely out of proportion. That's what we see people doing. Or we might think yoga as a set of breathing practices. And we all have diverse definitions of who a yogi is. We sometimes associate them with supernatural powers. But what is the definition of yoga? Let us look at three popular definitions. In the Yoga Sutra, Maharishi Patanjali talks about yoga as yoga's Chitta, Vritti, Nirodha, which is actually the cessation of various mental processes. So let us imagine a very still lake where the water is completely still and calm, and you throw a stone into it. There are so many ripples that are generated. So it means that similarly, on a very, very calm chitta, there are so many thoughts that are coming and going. Sarga, Sthiti and Laya. They are created, they are there, and then they sort of dissolve into it. So similarly, in the chitta, what happens is that there are so many mental processes that are going on, thoughts, doubts, and many other things. When these processes stop, in fact, he talks about 5 vrittis, which are pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, and smriti. These are 5 processes that he talks about. And when these processes come to a regulated state, that state is called yoga, which is the state of samadhi. That is what is defined in the Yoga Sutra. And what does the Bhagavad Gita talk about yoga? Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. So whatever action we take up, karma, whatever action we do, achieving excellence in that is yoga. Just take the example of any activity. Suppose somebody is asking you to do a particular thing. What is our attitude when we do that? In fact, there is a very interesting story to this. And there was an old carpenter who was working under the king of a kingdom. And one day he approached the king and said, see, I have done enough in my life. I just want to retire. The king, though he was not very happy with the services of the carpenter, he said, no, not a problem, but just do this last thing before you leave. And he said, you just build a particular, a house kind of a thing with wood. So the carpenter, already he does not do his job well, grudgingly completed that house. It was here and there, it was not proper. So when the king came and he said, oh, you have completed the house. And then he took the key of the house and handed it over to the carpenter. He said, this is your retirement home. And the carpenter, of course, was shocked because he had done it in a very, very, in a very grudging attitude and not done it properly. It was leaking here and there. The nails were not proper. The wood was not polished properly. But then it came back to him. So whatever we take up, when we do it with a certain approach of devotion and achieve excellence in it, that is called yoga. That comes through abhyasa and vairagya, which we will look at a little later. And Bhagavan Shri Krishna also talks about yoga as Samathuvam yoga uchyate. So samabhava, having equanimity in our mind, not fluctuating for anything and everything that gets into our mind. We hear something positive, then we get immediately very excited. The next moment something negative comes in, immediately our emotions go down. So basically our graph is always going up and down. And because of this, there's so much stress that is created. But instead of that, if we have an equanimous mind, where it is not disturbed by all that is happening in the outside environment, then that is called the state of yoga. Now let us take, for example, an air conditioner. If the temperature is 45 degree outside, or if the temperature is 15 degree outside, if you keep the temperature at 18, it will always be 18 inside. So similarly, having a samabhava, no matter what the fluctuations are happening at the outside world, that is called Samathuvam yoga uchyate. So yoga, basically, if you look at it, Karmasu Kaushalam in terms of action through the body, through the mind, through speech, achieving perfection in that. And having an equanimous mind. And also the cessation of the various cognitive processes, not cessation in the sense regulation, which leads to the state of samadhi. That is yoga. So these three definitions are from our popular texts and cover various dimensions through which the state of yoga can be achieved. Namaste.